Good evening. Welcome to today's AMA session on how much retirement savings should I have. I'm May, a trainer with the Institute for Financial Literacy and one of the speakers for this session. Let me introduce the Institute. IFL is a collaboration between MoneySense and Singapore Polytechnic Enterprise Private Limited. We provide free and unbiased financial education programs to the public. A disclaimer, we do not provide financial advice nor product recommendations, so do consult your licensed financial advisor before investing. How much retirement savings should I have? Questions like, what is CPF Life? Are there options? Are there other options to supplement my CPF monies for retirement? What if I do not have enough retirement savings? We hope to address this and other questions that you may have in the course of this evening. IFL has invited a guest panelist, Chen Xin from CPF Board, to join us to answer any questions that you may have. Let's start off with a poll. How much do you think will be your monthly expenses in retirement in today's dollars? Is it less than 1,000, 1 to 2,000, or more than 2,000? We'd like to hear from you. What are expenses? Well, these expenses include fixed expenses such as your mortgage repayment, insurance premiums, and allowances for your parents and children. And they also include variable expenses like money for food, medical needs, utilities, transport, and entertainment. So think along those lines when you are responding to this poll. Just give a moment while we wait for the results to come in. For those of you who track your expenses, you may find that it is quite easy to give an estimate. Those of you who don't, you probably may be using some guesswork to figure out how much you think you may need. All right, the results are in. Wow, 100% of you actually selected that you need above $1,000. Right, that is quite consistent with the national survey. There was a survey that showed that on average, Singaporeans need about 1,500 a month for expenses. So how did you estimate the amount that you need? Is there a method or did you guess the answer? I'd like to share with you 2 ways that you can do that. One, you use a simple budgeting exercise. Review your current expenses, start tracking, and you review them to project what will go up, what are the expenses that you may not need to spend already when you are retired, and then you project the amount that you need to spend a month after you retire. That's one way. The second way, you can use what we call the income replacement method. Now, for this, you take a percentage of your last drawn income to work out the amount that you think is enough to fund your lifestyle needs. As a guide, use between 60% to 75%. In this example here, we are using 70%. You can use the CPF Retirement Estimator. This is a free tool available on the CPF website to work out the sums. What you need to do is just input the various information, including when you want to retire, what is that age, and then, with expected lifespan, roughly the number of years in retirement. And then you will get the result. Let me show you an example. Right, in this example, the subject used a return on investment of 4% and expected inflation rate of 2.5%. And it shows that he needs about $1 million in future value. So when you think about it, from now till the time till the age that he plans to retire, which is in his 60s, how is he going to close the gap? How can he build up the amount he needs? What we call the retirement nest egg. Okay, I'm going to share with you some options. These are some possible options to build your retirement nest egg. 1, annuities and insurance. What is an annuity? It's actually an insurance product where a lump sum is made in return for promised future monthly payouts for a specific period of time or for as long as you live. So one example is CPF Life. It is an example of an annuity. Other types of insurance products that you can consider would be whole life or endowment plans. Number 2, right-sizing your property. When you're retired, you could be having an empty nest. Your children would have grown up. They may already have their own place to live in. Therefore, it may be timely to right-size to a smaller, less costly home. And this can provide you with cash proceeds to supplement your retirement income. You can also consider tapping on HDB Silver Housing Bonus Scheme or Lease Buyback Scheme. Check out the HDB website to find out more about these schemes. Or renting out spare rooms. That is another option where you can free up where you can get cash proceeds, actually, not free up money. Cash proceeds to supplement your retirement income needs. Next is cash top-up to CPF. You can do top-ups to your CPF special account if you're below 55 or retirement accounts if you're 55 and above. This is a way to build up your CPF savings on top of regular work contributions if you're an employee. The interest is good and you will also benefit from the compounding effect. So CPF top-ups are irreversible. Therefore, it is important to consider your short and medium-term needs first before you do the top-up. So do take this into consideration when you plan. Next is SRS. SRS is a voluntary scheme. You can open a supplementary retirement account with one of the 3 local banks to save for retirement and enjoy tax relief. Now, this SRS account is not a CPF account. It is a bank account. Why do people open the SRS? It's because of tax relief, and you can also invest the savings in this account. Terms and conditions apply, so do check with your banker. And investment. Investment is an option available. Just take note that all investment products come with some risk, so choose products that are suitable for your risk profile and rebalance your portfolio with lower risk investments when nearing retirement. It is important to understand what are the benefits of these options and what are the downsides before deciding which ones are suitable for you. Next, we come to the exciting segment for tonight, your questions. You can type your questions into the comments on your Facebook page or scan this QR code to input your questions in Slido. We will prioritize live questions that's coming in, but just want to share with you that before tonight, we have actually received many interesting questions, which we will address in the course of this evening as well. I'll just pause for a moment while you scan this QR code. Okay, now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. Right, we have invited Chen Xin from CPF Board to join us to answer your questions. Chen Xin, welcome to tonight's AMA session.
Right, hello everyone. I'm Chen Xin from CPF Board and I'm from the Outreach and Partnerships Department.
Thank you, Chen Xin. Welcome again. Right, while we wait for the questions to come in, Chen Xin, can I ask you a question first?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Right, Chen Xin, we tell our participants that annuities is an important pillar for their retirement adequacy needs. And CPF Life is an annuity. Can you explain what CPF Life is to our participants?
Yeah, sure. So CPF Life is a national longevity insurance annuity scheme that insures CPF members against running out of their retirement savings by providing them a monthly payout no matter how long they live. So this is quite unlike most private retirement income plans where they pay out only for a limited period of time.
Right, thank you. I'm sure our participants have a clearer idea now about CPF Life. Just one more thing, just now we did a poll and our participants, 100% of them indicated that they need above $1,000 per month when they retire. So can you share with us how CPF Life can meet those needs?
Yeah, so at age 55, your savings from the special and ordinary account up to the full retirement sum will be transferred to the retirement account. So for members who are turning 55 this year, the FRS is $186,000, while the BRS, which is half of the FRS, is $93,000. So do note your FRS and BRS are fixed when you turn 55. So for a member who is 55 this year and sets aside the FRS, they can expect a monthly CPF Life payout of $1,430 to $1,530 under the standard plan when they turn 65. So if they set aside the BRS, this amount will be about $770 to $830. So if these members wish to receive an even higher payout, what they can do is they can opt to do a cash top-up directly to their retirement account or transfer the excess special account or ordinary account savings to their retirement account. So they can do so up to the enhanced retirement sum of $279,000. So this will provide them a monthly payout of $2,080 to $2,230 under the standard plan when they turn 65. So for members who are turning 65 this year, another option that they can explore is to defer their payouts. So they can defer their payouts up to age 70, and for each year they defer, their payouts will increase by about 7%. So this is a good option for members who are still working or do not need their payouts immediately.
Okay, thank you very much. That is very useful. So there are various ways you can use your CPF to help build your retirement savings. So interestingly, well, CPF Life, if you don't know, LIFE actually stands for Lifelong Income for the Elderly. So find out about all these various methods. You can, later on we will share some resources with you and you'll be able to access a lot of information on how you can use some of these schemes and methods to build your funds. Now, the questions from Slido is coming in. I see a first question, Chen Xin. If my savings are tied up in CPF, what if my child needs help to start an enterprise? How can I access a reasonable amount of my CPF savings, say 15%, to help him?
So all members who are 55 can withdraw at least $5,000 from their special or ordinary account when they turn 55. So this is regardless of whether they are able to set aside the full retirement sum in their retirement account. So of course, for members who set aside their FRS, they can withdraw all the excess savings in their special and ordinary account. So for members who want to withdraw their retirement account savings above their PRS, what they can do is that if they own a property with a remaining lease that can last them to at least 95 years old, they can withdraw the amount that is above the PRS. So do note that these withdrawable savings do not include things like your interest earned, the government grants received, and top-ups made under the retirement sum topping up scheme. So one thing to note also is that if the property is sold, members will have to refund the principal amount withdrawn from their retirement account plus the accrued interest. So on this note, I would still encourage members to look after their own financial needs first, because their CPF savings are actually the foundation of their retirement. So setting aside only the BRS will also mean that they receive a lower CPF life payout when they turn 65.
All right, thank you. So do note there are options for you. However, there is a bit of opportunity cost, right? If you want to withdraw more ahead, then of course your lifetime payout amounts will be lesser. Next question. I have not, hold on, let me see. What is the difference between property pledge and property charge if I opt to set aside BRS? Chen Xin, would you like to take this question?
Yep, so, sure. So maybe just clarify the difference between what is a property pledge and property charge. So a property pledge is when you pledge when you have not used your CPF savings to buy a property, and you want to use that property as a pledge to withdraw the savings above the basic retirement sum from your retirement account. So that is a property pledge. So a property charge is actually the amount of the principal amount that is withdrawn from your CPF for your property plus the accrued interest. So there's a bit of a difference in both the property pledge and property charge. Yeah, so that generally is the difference. So in terms of how much you can withdraw from the retirement account, it will be at most the basic retirement sum for your cohort. So for example, for members who are 55 this year, the maximum they can withdraw from their retirement account in a lump sum would be $93,000.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Now there's lots of questions for CPF. One more. I have not reached 55. Will there be a policy to plug the SA Shield gap?
Right, so I assume that this is a question about the SA shielding, which I think is pretty much popular and in a lot of discussion these days on social media. So on this part, we are not really here to advise on any policy questions, but what I want to maybe emphasize to members who intend to go into the CPF investment schemes before they turn 55 or at any point of time is that they need to understand that every investment comes in a risk, as what May mentioned earlier, and they should be certain that they know what kind of investments they want to take before using their CPF savings to make an investment, right? Because ultimately the CPF savings do earn a risk-free and high interest. Yeah.
Right, thank you for that. So next one, should we use our CPF to invest in S&P 500 using endowers? Now, I'd like to take this question. I know there were some talk show where this was mentioned and highly recommended by one speaker, but just want to share, yeah, here we are not talking about recommending any particular product. Now, CPF, as what Chen Xin mentioned, is risk-free and it earns good interest. S&P 500, well, that is an investment that comes with risk, whether you're using endowers or any other platform, is an investment that carries with it some risk. So you're exchanging risk-free for risk-taking. The other thing is, of course, you need to find out more about that product and see whether it matches your risk profile, your risk capacity, and how much funds are you willing to lose if you are going to take it out and participate in some product that will come with some risk. So weigh all these things before you decide for yourself whether it is a move that you want to take. Right here, we will not say this product is better than the other product. Really, there are trade-offs from risk-free to taking risk. Of course, many people still invest because there is that potential return that they are eyeing. So potential is not guaranteed. So bear that in mind. Next question. My child would like to go for overseas university education. Can I use my CPF money for this? He says he will pay me back with accrued interest, right? He will pay back. I think, Chen Xin, you want to take this question?
Sure. So generally speaking, for the use of CPF savings for education purpose, they are mostly for approved institutions, approved local institutions. So I don't think it is possible to actually withdraw your CPF savings under the education scheme, at least for overseas university education, all right? But of course, if you're above 55 and you intend to withdraw your ordinary and special account savings to fund for your child's overseas education, that is possible. There is actually no need to refund back to your CPF account because that is considered your own withdrawal when you turn 55, right? So, but as I mentioned earlier, it is also important that you take consideration of your own financial needs first, because ultimately CPF is the foundation of your retirement.
Right, thank you. So there you have it. The CPF monies is for local tertiary education needs, but not for overseas university education at the moment, right? Next question. More and more people are telling me that, oh yes, SA shielding again. I should do before I turn 55. Is it safe? I think, Chen Xin, you have answered this question earlier. Would you like to add on any other points for this?
Not so much, except that just to take note, before you invest, if you're a first timer in terms of investing through the CPF investment schemes, there's actually a questionnaire that you need to fill up. So from that questionnaire, I think it really helps you to better understand your risk profile and whether you should or should not invest your CPF savings on investment products. Yeah. So like what we emphasized, myself and May emphasized earlier, I think we cannot emphasize enough that every investment comes with a risk. So you have to be aware that there is a certain amount of risk that you are taking, and you have to accept that before you make an investment.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question. Why is there a range of monthly payouts for CPF Life?
Right. So for the range, it's mostly because there's a range for females and males. So the lower range usually belongs to the females, while the higher range belongs to males. This is typically because females live a little bit longer, hence their payouts are adjusted to be slightly lower as compared to a male for the same amount of CPF Life premium that they pay.
Okay, so we ladies have a longer lifespan. I wonder why. Okay, so next question. Robo-advisors versus financial advisors, which is better for retirement planning? This is not within today's theme. Maybe for the person who asked this question, you might want to look up for our future AMA sessions. We may be covering topics like this in future sessions. So I will have to skip this question. Sorry about that. Next, are there any pension-like investment funds in Singapore? Will you be able to list some examples? Well, the few things that we said, you could consider as options for retirement planning include things like investment. So here again, other than CPF, I will not be able to share with you what are those funds. So important thing is find out a bit more. There is a lot of information on SGX website, SIA's website, and so on investment and investment related products. Go into those websites, find out a bit more before you put your money in any such funds. Next question, should I buy private annuities or top up my CPF account to increase CPF Life payouts? What are my considerations? Let me take this question. Now, you can buy private annuities as a form of diversification to supplement your CPF life payouts. But what is the difference? Well, the difference is for private annuities, typically you will have to come up with a lump sum either at one go or through a short period of time. And then the money will be invested until such time as the payout starts. Usually the payout is for a number of years, a specific period, for example, 10 years. So find out more before you buy the annuity. The difference is CPF life payout is for life. Of course, there are private annuities as well that have a lifetime payout. What is the consideration you need to bear in mind? Just like any other insurance, right? If you buy a private annuity, suppose that you can't pay along the way, right? Maybe you have to pay for, say, 8 years. And after paying for 4 years, you hit some financial difficulty and you can't pay. So you stop paying. That means that policy will terminate. So you may end up losing a lot, most if not all, of the money that you have put in. So this is one thing to bear in mind if you're buying a private annuity. So understand what the policy covers so that you can make your decision. I hope that answers your question. Next question. I would like to top up my SA to the max. How can I find out how much? Can I use PayNow? Chen Xin?
Yeah, so to find out how much you can actually top up, what you can do is to first log into my CPF using a SingPass. So on the online services menu, what you can do is that you can choose my messages. And under the messages, what you can see is that if you are still able to top up your SA, there will be a message to indicate how much you can top up your SA to. All right. So this is how you can find out how much you can top up to your SA. And of course, if you want to use PayNow, you can use PayNow as well. Yeah. So that is one of the preferred methods to top up these days.
Okay, thank you. So next, can I take out the savings in RA when I reach 65 years old? Chen Xin?
Right. So to explain first, so for someone who is turning 65 years old this year, so what happens is that if they have at least $60,000 in their CPF retirement account, the monies will be used to purchase a CPF life, and they'll be used as a CPF life premium. And yeah, so in a way, you are taking out your savings through the CPF life plan, which gives you monthly payouts no matter how long you live. Yeah. So if you are asking about whether you can withdraw the RA savings in a lump sum, essentially the savings above the PRS, as what we mentioned earlier, this can be done anytime from the point you turn 55 and before you select a CPF life plan, of course.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I'll take this question. Should I worry about inflation? How much inflation should I assume in my planning? Oh, well, inflation is part of life. I mean, when you were younger, say maybe 10 years ago, how much do you pay for a plate of food like chicken rice, right? And how much do you have to pay for it now? So we are all affected by inflation. So factor this into your plans when you start saving for your retirement. If your retirement is going to be years down the road, certainly the value of money will be different. So how much inflation should I assume in my planning? Generally, for Singapore's core inflation rate, it is below 2%. But in our training, typically we advise our participants to be more conservative and just factor in 2.5% core inflation when they do their calculations. That works for most people. Now, the next question. Approximately how much of my CPF is usable? Chen Xin, would you like to take this question?
Sure. So I think this question is a little bit generic in a sense. So if you are talking about how much you can use for your housing, for example, typically it really depends on number one, what you are buying, whether it's a HDB, BTO or resale flat, or it is a private property, and whether you're taking a HDB loan or a bank loan. So one way to simply find out what you can use your CPF for and how much you can use under the various schemes, again, is to log into My CPF online using your SingPass, right? So from there, under, I think, the online statement, what you can see is that we have actually consolidated a list of different schemes on and how much you can use under each different scheme. So that is actually a very good snapshot and summary of how much you can use your CPF for and under which scheme you can use it for.
Right. I have downloaded the CPF app, yes, and I can see it will prompt me how much I can use for different purposes for each account. So that's very useful. So next question I see is this: save for children's education, for BTO, for retirement. So many conflicting goals. How to prioritize? Pray tell. Right. This is part of our life, right? We all want many things, but if you can think of it, your CPF actually does help you to reach these goals, right? You have your CPF ordinary account. Monies inside there can be used in future for your children's tertiary education loan if they are studying locally. For BTO, your OA monies can be used for your down payment and your mortgage repayments. And for retirement, special accounts, and in future when you are 55 and above, your retirement account, that's ring fence for your retirement needs. So one way is, of course, consider using CPF as the pillar for your financial planning. It is possible to do so. How to prioritize? Well, I think the other thing to bear in mind is to really sit down and make a plan. If you're married, discuss with your spouse, come up with a plan. The earlier you start working on the plan, you find that because of the benefits of time and compound interest, you actually need to put in less money for it to accumulate over the years for a much bigger sum down the road. So this is my feedback for you. So consider using your CPF for this purpose. How do I calculate the monthly payouts that is sufficient for my retirement? Chen Xin, would you like to share?
Right. So earlier, I think May shared the QR code to the CPF retirement estimator. So I think that is actually a very good tool in terms of helping you to calculate the monthly payout for your retirement. In addition to that, if you are above 40 and have not purchased a CPF Life policy, what you can do is also to try out the CPF Life Estimator, which is also on our website. So this will give you a good sense of how much payouts you will receive when you turn 65 for given sum of money under the 3 different life plans, the standard, escalating, and basic plan. So we really recommend you to utilize these tools to have a better sense of how much you really need for your retirement.
Thank you. So you can use the CPF Life Estimator, right, to work out the amount you need. Next question. I understand CPF contribution annual limit is 37,740. Was told that one can have 2 jobs. Does that mean I can contribute the maximum 37,740 times 2 in total?
Yep, so that is correct. Yeah. So if let's say you hold 2 jobs that attract CPF contributions, the annual limit for each job will be $37,740.
All right, thank you. That's interesting. Next, after setting aside RA at 55, can still top up SA?
Okay, so for this, right, for the retirement sum topping up scheme, the top-ups to the SA only applies if you are below 55. All right, so once you turn 55, a retirement account is created for you. And if you were to do a top-up or CPF transfer, the monies will go to your retirement account instead of your special account. All right, but if you continue to work, of course, your working contributions that you receive every month will still go to your ordinary, special, and MediSave account.
Okay, so participants, just note when your CPF, even though you turn 55, right, it doesn't mean that your other accounts no longer exist. You now have 4 accounts, your OA, SA, MA, and your RA. So you can still contribute from your work to the SA account, right? But for retirement sum top-ups, if you're above 55, you can only put it into your RA. And as what Chen Xin said earlier, is kept at the enhanced retirement sum. Next question. Is it true that for HDB Silver Housing Scheme, if my CPF RA is already above FRS, I will not benefit from the 30K bonus when I downgrade my HDB? Yes, that is correct. Because the Silver Housing bonus is a match for when you do some top-ups to your CPF RA up to the FRS. There's a certain formula for that. So if you are already above that, then you will not get the 30K bonus. Next question. I want to buy an investment property with retirement money and rely on rental to pay my expenses. When I die, my kids will inherit the house. Isn't this win-win? Well, not quite a win-win, although it seemed like it on the surface. Why do I say that? Rental income and property value, they can change sometimes when the economic situation change. For example, like the pandemic, right? It is a prolonged period and it has hit the rental market adversely. So when you invest in a property for retirement needs, you want to make sure that whatever, not just property, your money that is for retirement purposes, you can sustain the amount throughout your retirement. So if, let's say, something happens to the rental market and you can't sustain the amount for your retirement, you will find that there's a gap, right? So what is a win-win, I would think, is diversify, right? You may want to maximize your CPF life payouts, build up the money for that purpose, and then consider some other options which we have talked about earlier. And with that diversification, you may be better able to meet your retirement needs even if circumstances change. So consider various sources and not just solely on the investment property. Next question. When will CPF Lifetime Retirement Scheme be launched? Chen Xin.
Right, so for this question, I apologize that I can't really advise as of now, because I think what you are referring to is the lifelong retirement investment scheme, if I'm not wrong. So I do not have any details to share as of yet. Yeah, so I apologize that I can't really, add value to this question.
Right, so just look out for news on this. At the moment, it is not launched yet. Next, so RA is the same as CPF Life?
So
can you clarify?
Yeah, so maybe to clarify first, your retirement account is created from the savings from your special and ordinary accounts when you turn 55. So this is where your savings will accumulate in terms of interest earned. And at 65, what you do is that you can choose a CPF Life plan. And when you choose a CPF Life plan, the CPF Life premium is taken from the monies that are inside your retirement account. All right. So the purpose of setting aside those monies in the retirement account is to purchase a CPF Life plan. Yeah. So it's not really the same per se. Yeah. But the CPF Life, your CPF Life payouts are actually generated from the premiums that are obtained from the retirement account savings.
Okay, thank you. So there is a difference. So do take note, right? The CPF Life is an annuity. The retirement account is an account in your CPF. So the funds for your CPF Life comes from what you have in your RA. So do find out a bit more so that you are clear. Next is how to take CPF monies into retirement planning, specifically in calculating safe withdrawal rate over time and planning retirement withdrawal strategy. Wow. Okay, Chen Xin, would you like to take this question?
Right. So at the very least for CPF life payouts, for example, what I would say is that typically speaking, CPF life payouts may be adjusted at times, but adjustments are expected to be small and gradual. So it should not adversely impact in terms of your retirement when you retire. All right. So in terms of retirement planning specifically, typically what we encourage people is number one, uh, when they purchase a property, make sure they do not overstretch themselves and buy within their means. All right. So this is one message that we emphasize a lot during our outreach activities, especially to young people who uh, are at a milestone where they are just about to get married and buy their first BTO. Right. So the main reason there is because any CPF savings that you use, even from your ordinary account, is also going to impact your retirement savings in the future, right? So that's the most important thing, buying within your means, at least for a property, all right? So the second thing that we typically advise people in the sense is that if possible, they should make sure that they try to finish paying up for their property as soon as possible. Yeah, if they can do so before 55, that would be better because then they'll have more time to accumulate savings in their special account, right? So there are some ways to think about retirement planning, right? So in terms of withdrawing your CPF savings over time, uh, once you're once you have turned 55, your special and ordinary account savings are free for you to withdraw anytime as long as you meet the full retirement sum, right? So the thing is that you do not have to withdraw everything at a go because withdrawals can be made in full, in partial, and they can be done anytime, right? So what you can do is to treat your CPF savings in your ordinary and special accounts as a rainy day fund because they do accumulate a very high interest, which is way more than any banks can really give you, right? And you retain this flexibility to withdraw as and when you need, so that you can withstand any adverse changes that may happen. For example, losing a job when after you turn 55, for example. All right. So that is one way that you can try to protect yourself over the long term after you turn 55.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so that is the power of compounding, isn't it? With the attractive interest rates that we get from our CPF account. Let's say, for example, your special account pays 4%. If you put in the amount of money and let it compound over a number of years at 4% using a simple rule of 72, you'll find that your money will double in about 18 years time. Now that is pretty powerful, right? So plan ahead. It's good that you are interested in really planning for your retirement. There are so many options. Think of the CPF as the pillar and do your plans, right? Okay, just let us take a look at the question. Well, I think the SA Shield question we have taken. The SA shielding, the range of payouts, yes, we have taken that question as well. The pension-like investment funds, I think I've answered that earlier. Yeah, for the one who asked about the pension funds, check with your banker or your licensed financial advisor. They'll be able to share with you what are the possible funds and what are the benefits and risk. Okay, next question. If I had not chosen the enhanced retirement sum and I'm now 61, can I still increase my retirement sums? Chen Xin?
Yep, of course. So for retirement sum topping up, you can do so anytime. So once you turn 55, right, and you have a retirement account, you can actually top up to the enhanced retirement sum anytime. So there's no time limit as to when you can top up, all right? But as what May mentioned earlier, there's a power in terms of the compound interest. And obviously, if you were to do so earlier, you'll benefit even more, all right? Yeah. So to give you an illustration, for someone who is 55 today, if they can set aside the full retirement sum of $186,000 without doing anything, that amount will increase to about $280,000 when they turn 65, right? So that's like almost $100,000 increase in 10 years just from the interest rates from the retirement account, right? So this is really an illustration of how the power of compound interest works. And if you choose to do a top up or transfer your excess special and ordinary account savings to your retirement account up to the enhanced retirement sum, definitely you'll benefit much more in 10 years' time.
Right, that is really powerful. Of course, just a reminder again, top-ups to your SA and RA, or even transfers from your other accounts into your SA or RA is irreversible. So plan properly and carefully before you execute the top-ups. All right. Next question, when comparing private annuity plans with CPF Life, can we just take it that CPF Life gives an annualized return of 4%? Chen Xin?
Yes, of course, you can do so. So what happens is that your CPF Life premium continues to earn the base interest rate of 4% and up to 2% in terms of extra interest on the first $60,000 of your combined CPF balances. So this is similar to the retirement account savings like all CPF members.
Okay. Oh, the next question is also for you, Chen Xin. I read that monthly payout for CPF Life Basic Plan may reduce in later years. Why is that so? Would you like to explain?
All right. So the basis is mainly because the amount of retirement account savings that is used as a CPF Life premium for the basic plan is lower than the standard and escalating plan, right? So what happens is that you are using less of your retirement account savings to buy the CPF Life basic plan as compared to the other two plans, all right? So when you start your payouts from the CPF Life basic plan, the payouts will come from your retirement account first, all right? And once your retirement account drops to below $60,000, that is when you lose out on the extra 2% interest that is earned on your retirement account. And that is why your CPF life payouts under the basic plan will drop in the later years.
Okay, so yes, it is true that there will be some reduction. So take this into account when you are choosing the plan. In any case, you don't have to choose yet at 55. You just need to choose which life plan you want to go on when you are nearing the age that you want to start taking out the payouts. So for example, if you want to start at 65, then before 65, then you need to make a choice. Okay, so in the meantime, understand more about the plan so that you can make that decision. Next question. When saving and investing for my retirement, can I just treat my CPF funds as the fixed income portion of my portfolio? Well, as what was shared earlier, you could consider this as the fixed portion, mainly because it is risk-free and it continues to grow with compound interest, and you will end up with having that CPF Life annuity that will give you a certain amount depending on how much you have accumulated in your RA and when you start collecting the payout. Remember, if you delay the payout, each year that you delay, there's an increase in the payout, right, of up to 6 or 7%, your monthly payout. So this is something that you can plan for as well. The pandemic has hit our savings, how to plan for our retirement. Yeah, this is a real issue. You may not be able to prioritize saving for your retirement if, let's say, your daily living expenses are affected, right? And if this is a case, then you might want to prioritize your debts because, you know, debt comes with interest payments. So you do not want to miss those payments only, you know, to pay a lot in interest cost. Your plan might get derailed for a short while. Hopefully, you know, things get back on track for you soon, and then you can then start again to save for your retirement, right? So things change, circumstances change, take this time to review your plans. Okay. Should I surrender my whole life insurance with CI Rider and use the payout for my retirement? Well, we wouldn't suggest this. Why? You will know if you pay attention to the surrender value in your policy that you stand to lose a lot of the premiums that you have put in. You may end up with very little, and on top of that, you lose the protection. And you know, if you lose the protection now, in future, if you want to buy, if you have some medical condition, you may find yourself you know, having to pay a lot more premium, or maybe you have to contend with exclusion clauses, or worst case scenario, the insurer may not even offer you the policy, right? So rather than surrendering it, you might want to discuss with your insurance agent whether there are some other options. Can you take a temporary loan from your insurance cash value to pay for you know, your policy, for example? So don't just surrender without consulting with your insurance agent if you have been buying and paying for the whole life for many, many years, because you stand to lose a lot if you surrender. Okay, so check your policy surrender documents. Next question. Do you or CPF have a cheat sheet on how to maximize the benefit of CPF? For example, if you meet the minimum sum, then you should top up 7K to maximize tax deduction. So Chen Xin, would you like to take this last question?
Right, so we don't typically have a cheat sheet here on how to you know, top up and maximize your tax deduction. But what I can share with you is the different ways you can actually get tax relief from CPF. So number one, as you correctly mentioned, topping up to your own special or retirement account can earn you up to $7,000 of tax relief. So what you may want to note is that the tax relief only applies for members who are above 55 actually. The tax relief only applies if you have not met the full retirement sum, all right? So if you have already met the full retirement sum, you're topping up in cash above the full retirement sum, you do not get tax relief for that, right? Another way to also earn tax relief is to top up to your loved ones in cash. So for example, your spouse, your parents, your grandparents, for example, if they do not have enough CPF savings in their CPF account, you can also consider topping up to their CPF account. That can also earn you up to $7,000 of tax relief every year, right? So the maximum amount of tax relief that you can get from CPF top-ups every year for yourself and topping up to your loved ones would be $14,000.
Thank you. That's a lot of information. Not to worry, in a while, we will share with you some resources where you can get this information. Okay, that's all the time we have for the questions. I'm going to continue sharing the deck. You just give me a moment. Okay, so thank you so much for all your questions. That's a very interesting session. I hope you have learned and got your questions answered. Now, resources, as I mentioned, Chen Xin has prepared some resources that CPF Board has for members. Chen Xin will talk you through these resources. Chen Xin.
Right, so maybe I'll start off by introducing the CPF Planner, which you can access by simply scanning this QR code. So all you need to do is to answer 5 questions to find out your estimated retirement goals and how CPF can help you reach those goals.
Okay, that's one resource. Now the next one.
Right, so we have also recently launched the CPF Volunteering or CPFV mobile app, which is in line with the Singapore Together movement to encourage Singaporeans to partner the government in building a shared future. Right, by downloading the CPFV app and registering with us, you can play your part through a community paying it forward program by sharing CPF information with other CPF members to improve their understanding of CPF schemes, as well as to make informed decisions on the use of their CPF savings, thereby supporting their retirement planning. This CPF V app is available on both the App Store and Google Play, so you can search for the keyword CPF V or scan the QR code if you would like to find out more.
Okay, and the final slide on the resources.
Right, so you can also connect with us on CPF Board. We are on various social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Telegram. Do follow us on these platforms for tips and bite-sized information on CPF schemes. You can also download the My CPF mobile app, which we have talked about just now. And this is available on both the App Store and Google Play if you want to keep track of your CPF savings and easily perform transactions on the go.
Thank you, Chen Xin. This is very useful. Now, for our participants, a tip for you, it is important that you equip yourself with facts so that you can make informed decisions for your financial wellness. So I encourage you to check out all these resources and then find out more, because we've shared a lot of information today and you might be a little confused, right, with some of that. So not to worry, all the information is available for you. So there are apps that you can download. You can go to Telegram and, you know, the CPF V, which is a new resource as well. So what if you still have questions? Yeah, I'm sorry that we had to end with the last question just now because of time. Do email us your questions if you still have, or if we have not managed to answer your questions, and we will respond to you after the session. Please give us your feedback. Your feedback is important for us. You can scan this QR code and share with us your feedback. With that, we have come to the end of today's Ask Me Anything session. Thank you so much for making time to join us today. Thank you, Chen Xin, for taking those questions. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, May. It's my pleasure to be on this session as well.
Okay, right. Good night, everyone.